Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 17, Episode 8. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Thanks for being back with us this Friday, Steelers Nation. And football is back. The long-awaited wait is over, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, pretty impressive as far as preseason debuts go. A 28-9 win over the Green Bay Packers Thursday night at Acrisure Stadium. Mike McCarthy getting his first win and his first coaching performance with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The kids are all right, is my takeaway, Dave, from this one. The rookie class, young quarterbacks, and Will Howard, Drew Allar really shining. So, Dave, how you doing?
Man, if I was doing any better, it'd have to be three of me. And Lord knows the world doesn't need that. This is better than any Christmas morning I ever had as a kid. It really is for me. You know how excited I am. Start the season to get the TV tape downloaded and turn around first thing in the morning, get the all 22 tape downloaded, and especially coming off of. I mean, look, this game had warts, and we'll obviously go over it here in a little bit, but there was a lot of good in there. Got to see a lot of the young Steelers play, and a lot of the draft class I thought represented himself real well. Quarterback play in general really looked above the line, and from all three of the guys there. It's spaghetti day. I mean,
could Dave's life get any better?
I don't see how here, at least at this part of the morning. So happy Friday to you, Alex. Happy Friday to the listeners. I think we got a lot to get to today, so this should be a fun show.
There's so much to talk about from the game, but I do want to talk about some things that happened before the game and the Steelers making a roster move, an addition, and bringing back an old face. And inside linebacker Elandon Roberts has signed a one-year contract that was broken shortly before kickoff, or maybe 24 hours before kickoff. He did not play in last night's game, but should be good for the rest of the preseason. Corresponding move, defensive lineman Logan Lee placed on injured reserve. He had missed most of training camp with an unknown injury, so his season is over. But the focus here, Dave, Elandon Roberts back. Take two, he reunites with Patrick Graham, who worked with him in Las Vegas last year, so the thumping presence of Roberts back on the roster.
Boy, you certainly do understand the fit, don't you? And we've seen Elandon Roberts in the Steelers uniform, obviously, before. It's sad that they couldn't keep him around for last season there. But the link to Patrick Graham, the physicality that Elandon Roberts plays with, especially when attacking those pulling guards, man, that guy, really fierce guy when it comes to that. The only thing is hey, how does this fit? Where does he get his playing time at? I imagine this is a one-year contract. Haven't seen the details on it yet, but it's probably going to be around vet minimum. Should be a vet benefit contract to some degree. Can't imagine there being a huge signing bonus in there, but once again, I have not seen the actual contract yet to be able to comment on that. But as far as fit goes, this is a guy that can rack up a lot of tackles for you. It certainly has a physicality playing downhill. Knows what Patrick Graham does on defense, because those two just recently worked together there in Vegas. I kind of wonder, because Elandon Roberts is probably not going to be a guy that logs many, if any, snaps on special teams. I don't think he logged any with the Raiders last year. If he does play any special teams, it might be one unit or something like that. But what does this mean for Peyton Wilson or Patrick Queen? Are we going to see more of a kind of maybe a platoon situation between Wilson and Elandon Roberts? That's a possibility within this. But assuming he we talked to, how many guys after that mandatory mini camp over the years that the Steelers signed and ended up making the 53-man roster, and barring an injury at this point, you have to like Elandon Roberts' chances of making the 53-man roster. I suppose you can entertain. Maybe could Patrick Queen be out the door? You wouldn't think so, but I guess stranger things have happened here. I just wonder how this is going to work out when it comes to playing time. And does this mean that this team might be destined to carry 5 inside linebackers with Cole Holcomb and Carson Bruner also being part of that? And if so, you can almost guarantee this team's only going to keep 4 outside linebackers. And then what does this do to roster construction? And particularly maybe if you want to go about the lines of trying to keep 4 quarterbacks, which continues to be the buzz after the first preseason game. So, what are your thoughts on how Elandon Roberts might fit into this?
My first thought was it's sort of admission that Pittsburgh made a mistake last offseason letting Roberts walk and signing Malik Harrison. And Malik Harrison's roster chances, which were already crashing before the Roberts signing, really, I think, have gone to 0. Still in the roster, played late last night, but he's not going to make this team. So,
No.
how does Roberts fit? We'll see. If the run defense falters, Roberts can always come in and give you quality snaps there. That's what he's known for. I don't know if there'll be a role for him in that regard out of the gate, especially with some of the impressive things I've seen Peyton Wilson do in training camp, but that's at least in your back pocket. I think it just comes down to Pittsburgh. As you said, they always keep 5 inside linebackers, and they were going to keep 4 edge guys. So going 4 edge rushers and 4 upper linebackers was pretty light for a 3-4 team. And so they wanted a 5th guy, a veteran guy, depth that knows the defense, that played with Graham last year. He gets up to speed immediately, and that's the calculation for why Roberts is here.
Okay, and he might really quick jump Cole Holcomb, you would think, in this thing. And obviously Bruner is more of a special teams guy. We saw Holcomb on special teams last night. He can still have a role in there. So it'd just be interesting to see when we get into the regular season, once again, assuming Elandon Roberts makes the 53, which it's hard to imagine him not, just how the usage is going forward there. But I mean, you got to like the fit. I mean, this is a guy who, once again, real physical, especially against the run. The only downside about him is he, not much of a special teams use at his age. He could probably play on maybe 1 unit. I don't know. We'll see how if he gets any burn here going forward on that. But I mean, the contract you have to imagine is pretty cheap, and it almost guarantees, like you said, that Malik Harrison's going to be out the door.
One last piece of housekeeping, Lorenzo Thompson, who was injured during the night practice. He was waived injured and then released with an injury settlement. And so he's officially off the roster, off the team entirely as he recovers from whatever the injury was there. All right, Dave, let's get into this game.
Real quick, what does this mean for Logan Lee? It's not great.
Yeah, I think it's end of the road for Logan Lee.
Yeah.
Obviously, he'll spend the year on IR still be with the organization, but 3 years, 7 games, it was already going to be an uphill climb even if he was healthy. So it just seems like that door's pretty much closed.
Okay, agreed.
All right, Dave, 28-9, the final. Pittsburgh, a slow start for the offense, but then the young quarterbacks came in. Will Howard leading a 2-minute drive for Pittsburgh's first touchdown right before the half. Drew Allar, 3 drives, 3 touchdowns. The buzz, you can feel it today, even though it's preseason, even though it's vanilla coverage, even though there'll be ebbs and flows too. I'm sure even just the rest of the preseason for both of those guys, it's hard not to feel excited. It's not often we get excited about quarterback news in Pittsburgh over the last 5 or so years. And so just to have something positive to say is refreshing.
What, you forgot about the Kenny Pickett preseason?
That is true. That was a magical preseason that ended once the season actually began.
Look, as far as the quarterback play goes, that quarterback school seems to work, at least right out of the chute here with Mike McCarthy here. I thought it went this way with Mason, Will, and Drew Allar. I thought it went good, better, best within that. I thought Mason did some good things. There were some protection issues, or 2 sacks for Mason early in this game where it really didn't have a chance with either one of those. Kind of a clunky start. Did not have DK Metcalf or Michael Pittman Jr. In this game to start. You had Cook at right tackle, Spencer Anderson at right guard. You didn't have your two. You didn't have either Dowdle or or Jalen Warren in this game. You had, I think, Homer back there to start with there, so it was a little clunky to start with overall. Even so, Mason Rudolph was able to complete some passes in this game. Had a nice completion percentage overall. I thought he made a couple of good reads in this game. Thought you know, overall he played okay, especially the line issues that this team had and some protection issues early on. Moving on to Will Howard, the first series obviously didn't go the way he wanted it to, but I thought he kind of warmed to the situation. Man, that had a couple of three throws in that series that moved the football down the field and really punctuated. I thought one of his better plays in this game was the step up into the pocket and drilling down the middle of the field to Robert Tonyan. They had that field safety in conflict. He looks left a little bit, kind of I guess holds him a little bit there and had a real nice step up into the pocket, eyes down the field, both hands on the football, made an excellent pass to Robert Tonyan. The only thing that, he just didn't get in overall. It looked initially like he did, but obviously down at the one there. But even the first pass or first completion for Howard, I thought was fine. A little bit of a high throw to Ben Skowronek over there on the left side. Probably could have been a little bit better throw. Nice catch by Skowronek there. But, I thought he warmed because this is his first preseason action. I thought he warmed to it after that first series. And, I think I would have liked him to play one more series overall, but as it turned out, I think the snap count for Will Howard and Drew Allar was almost really right on the money. I thought it was ended up being a great decision by Mike McCarthy, especially how Drew Allar came in and played. And when it comes to Drew Allar, a lot of good decisions, I thought, overall. And look, and I think Mike McCarthy said it best. The quarterbacks had, he said he hadn't looked at the stats. He knows they put up good numbers and all like that. He just thought overall the way the quarterbacks ran the offense was impressive.
Mhm.
And I think that is a key statement within that. Yeah, we all like the stats and everything, but all those guys worked under center. That was good. We saw some cadence out of both Will Howard and Drew Allar. Really looked like Allar was trying some Aaron Rodgers things there, trying to get some jumps along the way in there. They what did we say going into this? Make good decisions with the football. The accuracy for the most part was there with all those guys. I thought one of the better throws by Drew Allar in this game that I just posted on Twitter a little while ago was against that pressure look on the slant flat. He read that really well. He got the ball out quick and on the money, and that's very impressive. Even if that is against a third or fourth string defense, I thought he made a great decision on the zone read for the touchdown. Boy, he's a big boy too. You see him standing in the huddle, and you get a real good feel for how tall a kid he is.
Mhm.
And then obviously the great decision, great route by Caden Weegan on the slant, and that popped open for a triple explosive play plus a handful of yards there. I just thought Allar's decision making and accuracy, even in the short to intermediate area, was impressive. And then he put that ball where only Riley Nowakowski was going to get it on the touchdown. And quite honestly, Nowakowski should have had that one earlier in the game as well. I think Riley, 9 times out of 10, Riley Nowakowski catches that one. So good, better yet as far as the quarterback play goes.
Officially 30 snaps for Drew Allar, 19 for Will Howard. I was happy that Mike McCarthy was a little flexible in his plan because he talked pregame and leading into the game that Allar or there'd be a group that would play in after halftime. Mason Rudolph and the first team went a little long, and so Will Howard didn't get a chance to check in until midway through the second quarter, and so McCarthy gave him the first drive at a halftime, which was smart. I think he distributed things just fine. Ultimately, with Howard starting there, they work on 2-minute drill almost every day in training camp at some point, usually at the end of practice, but at some point in it. And to see the application of what you work on in practice translate to game scenario is really impressive to see, especially for a guy that has not played inside a stadium since January of 2025. And so, yeah, I mean, there's certainly some things to critique from Will Howard, even on the fourth down pass to Skoranek. That pass was a little high. He had the flat open, which would have been the safer throw, the higher percentage throw. Maybe you go back and say, yeah, it was a good completion downfield, but we could have just taken the safer play and guaranteed that conversion. Also, there was one ball over the middle against pressure on that final drive out of the half that Howard's got to eat. Yeah, you just can't risk that. It's not worth it. But there's just so much good there. I thought Howard's pocket presence and poise, as you said, climbing the pocket, hitting Tunyon on that near touchdown. His overall patience, making good decisions, the overall operation, clean exchanges, clean handoffs, all that really solid. And so just the 2-minute drill was really big just because that's big time situational football there for any team, any offense to put points late in the half, especially when you're getting the ball at halftime, avoid that chance to double dip, just thinking about how you're going to act in a regular season game. So that was a big time drive with some really good throws. That touch and layering, he's always had that, Howard has, and he showed that throughout that performance.
Yeah, obviously you wish you could have seen more of the deeper shots down the field, maybe, but I mean we got plenty of time for that. There's not much to critique overall about bad from Howard, but as you mentioned, could have gone elsewhere on the ball to Skoranek, and the bad decision on the was that a third or fourth down on
It was third down.
Okay, third down. There. Props to McCarthy on some of the concepts that they've been running and kind of easy reads. Allar, once again, I think as you go through this, you just see some of the reads that he makes and gets the ball to the right person there. And I know you talked a little bit about his underneath accuracy needing a little bit of improvement through camp there, but he had an average air yard distance, I think, of attempted air yard distance of over 8 yards and an average completed air yard distance of 5.5. And when you compare that to and look, I understand it's preseason, vanilla defenses and all, but I mean, for a debut for a kid like that, I thought it was great. And look, there was some hidden yardage in there as well too, as far as Max Hurlman. There were a couple of receivers that drew some penalties, and there was one in the end zone even that would have been a touchdown, I think, had there not been holding or DPI on that play, and that was a little bit lengthier throw as well too. So, man, yeah, I know it's preseason, but when is the last time that you remember? I guess other than the Kenny Pickett game, and I can't remember who came in maybe after him in that game or not, but when's the last preseason game that you remember coming out where at least three quarterbacks played that you at least felt really good about the quarterback play of all three?
Yeah, probably not often. Scout Thompson had a 3-touchdown showing last year that earned a lot of buzz, but yeah, point well taken. And to go to Drew Allar, I think he was more impressive than Will Howard. I think both played well, and that's all that really matters. But if you want to talk about just kind of comparisons, and Allar just being a rookie too, and more of a project coming out than Howard was really, really impressive. And to your point, my concern was the short intermediate accuracy, the crossing routes. Could he throw a good back ball, run after catch ball? And he did consistently in this game. The throw to Weegan, obviously, to get started. How about a 74-yard completion on your first NFL pass? Ooh. That's I'm not sure. I'd love to find the stats of the weird on that, but preseason play-by-play, a little tough to do. But then the slant flats to Hurlman, even just the throw in the end zone you mentioned to Joaquin Davis, hitching up and climbing the pocket and throwing a good ball there. He just threw a very catchable ball that gave his guys a chance to do damage post-catch, and that is huge. If he can do that consistently, man, look out, because everything else is there physically. And yeah, the concepts were pretty simple, and the defenses were pretty vanilla. Like, they ran the heck out of the slant flat combination that you're referencing, but doesn't matter. Just throw a good ball consistently. That pressure throw where he got somebody to get pressure off his back foot, you show the arm talent there to still make a strong, accurate throw. really good stuff from Drew Allar.
They looked like they knew what they were doing. They looked like they, there was that clip too before the game of Drew Allar walking the outside of the field. And he had a play sheet with him. Just all three of those guys look prepared for this game.
Yeah,
And
and it can't. By the way, Allar's the first quarterback down every day, and so this
right,
is the guy that puts in the work.
right. So I don't know how you don't come out of that game thinking, man, Mike McCarthy had them quarterbacks ready to play.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely see all the time that McCarthy has poured into those guys, and he's around them a lot in training camp. And obviously, this dates back to the spring, and even way back to Drew Allar's first rookie minicamp, where he's the only quarterback and getting all those reps in, and all that stuff, all that work you put in behind the scenes is going to pay off in situations and inside stadiums like it did last night. So, still a ways to go. There'll be some good days and bad days, and it's not all going to be sunshine and roses for these guys. I'm sure if it is, fantastic, but a really good start for both quarterbacks.
Look, makes you even more excited to see the second preseason game now, to see if these guys can keep up that kind of consistency, especially those two young guys in Howard and Allar. Now they've got their first preseason games behind them, and got some live reps per se against guys that can hit them on the other side. So yeah, I don't know how to quantify it other than that. Yeah, we're not getting out of ahead of our skis. I mean, we all remember the whole Kenny Pickett game and all like that. But I mean, for what it was and what they were asked to do, they passed the test.
What does this do for the quarterback battle going forward? It's getting harder and harder to find the case to cut a guy like Will Howard if these performances continue. Now, have your thoughts changed at all on the 4 quarterback equation, Dave, after watching game 1?
Oh man, I tell you, short answer, yes. It is. I look. This next game, what I would do is what I would do.
Mhm.
I'd start Will Howard in this next one. I'd give him a half, and then I'd give Drew Allar a half. I wouldn't even bother playing Rodgers or Rudolph. And by the way, Mike McCarthy talked about kind of decisions for sitting Aaron Rodgers, and really, basically, it was because he wasn't going to have his weapons out there in DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman Jr. Okay, and we kind of wondered if that might be the case there. Even though Aaron Rodgers has says, yeah, I'm willing to play if he asks me to. I don't know if maybe the final preseason game you get him out there to get him knocked around just a tiny bit, or get him used to the game speed and all like that. I think they know what they have and don't have in Mason Rudolph based on as long as he's been around the league. What I'd really like to do is I wouldn't even be opposed. I know a lot of people would probably be against it from the whole rhythm type of thing. I wouldn't be opposed to Howard and Allar swapping series throughout the second preseason game, just to see how those guys can come in off of a bench situation after being out of series. It's unorthodox, but hell, we're talking about keeping 4 quarterbacks. That's unorthodox as hell anyway. But I want to see more of both these kids the rest of the 2 preseason games. Period.
Sure. No, I want to see a ton of them, and hopefully we will. Now, some could sit there and say the 4 quarterback chance has been reduced because Howard played so well that just kick Rudolph off the roster, keep 3, and end the story there. So I'm not going to make any final determinations. I'll have a roster prediction update here probably within 24 hours or so. Well, I'll make my initial guess at it all, but it's still a fluid situation, and that decision doesn't really matter until August 29th, August 30th, whenever cutdowns are basically here. So point is, you had some really good performances from some of the young quarterbacks. All that work you're putting in is paying off. All the work they put in is paying off, and that's really encouraging.
All 4 quarterbacks are still in the running right now. So
yeah, no question. All right, Dave, we're 2 from here. Let's stick with the offense. Let's go to running backs. As you said, Jalen Warren, Rico Dowdle not playing, Travis Homer getting the start, Lou Nichols with a rushing touchdown, Pittsburgh's first points of the preseason. I think the takeaway here is a couple fold. Lou Nichols continues to, I think, turn some heads. Eli Heidenreich getting a lot of second half action, which was good after his injury situation made his status a little uncertain and how much he'd play a little uncertain. And then, of course, the big story here, I think, at running back is the lack of Caleb Johnson. Did not play a single snap in the first half, did not get a touch until there were about 4 minutes left in the third quarter. 2 carries for 3 yards, hiding right, basically closing things out. The writing on the wall might be clear for Caleb Johnson.
5 offensive snaps and I think 3 special team snaps, and I have not picked out his special team snaps yet on the all 22. Haven't gotten that far within it there. Lou Nichols is doing everything. There wasn't a lot of running room on a lot of the runs overall. I thought Lou, on the McCormick pull to the right down there in the red zone, I thought he did a great job of reversing field and getting free on that one. And then on the touchdown run, unfortunate that was called back on the Fautano hold on that. But I thought Nichols represented himself well. I mean, you've been talking about him going back to last season, that this is a guy that continues to impress, and you kind of wondered if he might get into this game ahead of Caleb Johnson, and he did. We got to see Eli Heidenreich kind of some true carries in this game. I was interested in seeing that. He had 9 for 21 yards, only a 2.3 yard average. They didn't run the ball super great, obviously. Overall, their longest run was 11 yards by Lou Nichols, and but they've got time to work on that running game, and obviously you didn't have your top 2 backs in there in Jalen Warren and Rico Dowdle either. So I'd give it probably a C as far as the run game goes overall, and I think a lot of that too. There wasn't a lot of. I didn't think the run blocking was super great, especially interior in the interior.
On that Nichols touchdown that was called back, it's a tough one. That ball's supposed to be inside. Nichols bounces it. I don't know what the read was. I get to go through the all 22. I've been playing download games all day. I feel like I'm Squidward in that SpongeBob meme where I'm in my house watching you frolic outside with the all 22. But I'll get there a little bit later today. So that one it's harder to pin that one on Fautanu and get too upset with him on the hold. It's unfortunate, obviously, but that ball did bounce outside, and when those plays bounce outside when they're not intended to, that tends to increase the risk of holding. But overall, a good performance. He ran hard. He pushed the pile forward. He got a good surge and just kind of doing typical Lou Nichols things. So Caleb Johnson, we'll see if he gets more time in the future. It's not looking great. And I think if you're Pittsburgh, you're working the trade phones and calling a GM who liked Johnson coming out of Iowa, maybe flip him for a late day 3 pick.
Yeah, you might want to showcase him a little bit more in earlier in a preseason game to see if maybe he can show something to kind of up his value. But it certainly isn't looking great for him.
And then, as you said, Riley Nowakowski, fullback, tight end, the drop. I know the broadcast is kind of critical of Allar for the throw. I thought the throw was fine. It may not have been a perfect throw, but it certainly was a good enough throw for Nowakowski to haul that in. So I would put that a lot more Nowakowski than I would Allar, but it was good to see Nowakowski make up for that with a really good one-handed snag. This guy does have good hands, drop aside. Seen it in some of the drill work, indie work in camp, and so I was happy for him to get his redemption.
Yeah, I agree. He's got to catch that one in the end zone, though.
Yeah, no question about that. All right, Dave, let's go to tight ends, and probably not as much to discuss there. A couple of catches for Lake McCree. You had
Bobby.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one guy to definitely talk about, and just continues to be the quarterback's best friend. I wrote about that early in training camp. Will Howard to Tunyon connection certainly was working well last night, including that near touchdown on that really good throw from Howard to Tunyon. They had a 3rd down conversion to open up the second half as well. So it's a hard guy to leave off the roster, I think.
It certainly is now. I left him off, I think I left him off my first one. He'll be on there the rest of the way. I haven't looked at his blocking and all in that game, but he certainly is a quarterback's friend. And great, man. Just what you got out of Tunyon in that preseason ago makes you wonder what the heck was Johnny Smith doing last year with that. But yeah, I thought Tunyon really 4 for 61, 22 on his longest reception down the middle in that game there. That's not a bad third tight end option especially when it comes to the passing game.
The roster construction is going to get really interesting with all these guys you're trying to keep, potentially 4 quarterbacks, and now add Tunyon into that mix. And we'll talk O-line here in a second. They're going to probably keep at least 9, even potentially floating 10. And so the numbers are going to get pretty interesting here soon enough, Dave. All right, let's go to wide receiver. And I think the top story here is rookie wide receiver Jeremy Bernard. He was a bright spot early when the offense was slow moving and without DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman Jr., Bernard getting a lot of burn in this game, and I think he had a pretty quiet training camp so far, but really came alive in this game, really kind of showing that true gamer, just go make plays inside stadiums when everything's on the line type of mentality. His break tackle ability, that one big catch and run that he had, getting open in zone coverage, good hands, just a nice performance in Jeremy Bernard.
Yeah, you really got to be pleased with that out of your second round pick there in Jeremy Bernard. 5 targets, 4 receptions, 51 yards, along with 25. And I think I calculated him like 29 yards after the catch or so in this game. So 4 divided by 29, what's that? Like 7 yards.
Just over 7.
Just over 7 yards average yak per reception. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Seemed to be comfortable for what he was asked to do in this game. So as quiet as he has been through training camp, that's a way to come out and to perform underneath the lights in his first preseason game. So glad to see that.
Yeah, no question. A little quieter for Roman Wilson. 1 reception, 7 yards, a good sideline grab on his lone catch. Want to get to the all-22. The 1 sack Rudolph had early in the game, I think the first one of the game that he took, Wilson on the outside, struggling to get off of press coverage. And Rudolph was looking that way. Wilson was covered up, and that's kind of, I think, where the sack stemmed from. So I want to go back through the tape some more, but not quite the impressive outing for Roman Wilson.
Yeah, and we had talked about going back to his rookie season too. The ability to play outside and get off man was one of the big things that he was going to have to prove at next level. We saw him in college be able to play from the slot and free releases, and how effective he was within that. I did think though on his 1 catch he did a good job of coming back to the football and obviously getting both feet down in bounds, key reception in that process there. But want to see him get more targets, obviously moving forward through the preseason here.
Brandon Smith, similar, came back to the ball on one of his 2 receptions, 13 yards. Unfortunately, it appears he got injured sometime in the middle of the game. Bob Pompiani on the call for local Pittsburgh station KDKA mentioning that the team, to my knowledge, did not acknowledge that. And Mike McCarthy, unfortunately, unlike Mike Tomlin, does not do an injury run-through post-game, and nobody asked him about the health of the team, so we don't know what the situation is there. Hopefully it's minor for Brandon Smith. He's had a nice camp, was trying to push for at least cementing himself to the practice squad, so we'll check that next couple of days, but that's the story on Brandon Smith.
Yeah, off to a good start in that game. He kind of disappeared, and as you mentioned, we don't know what's going on with him getting dinged up and having to leave the game.
One last thing I'd like to mention on that Weegan. Well, let's just talk about Weegan some more. I mean, the home run ability, the catch and run ability, the open field speed that he has. I mean, he almost housed that one. He just stumbled. If he stayed on his feet, he would have scored. He just kind of stumbled and then ran out of juice at the very, very end. But this is a guy that was not doing much in the past game in training camp. A couple of missed opportunities with a smaller catch radius, but it had the touchdown later in the game, the 74-yarder, making a guy miss. All those traits on display.
Boy, you look at that, it was a man single high type situation, and Drew Allar put the ball right on him. He did a good job of out of his break and all discarding.
Is there a push there? Did you see the all-22?
Man,
a little push on the corner. Who fell?
OPI every chance you get in the NFL,
Sure.
man. It's a physical damn game, man. So that's like Ty goes to the runner. in
Yeah, it's not a
baseball.
critique. It's smart. If you can get a little
Yeah.
subtle push. I mean, AB was the king of that. Nothing
Yeah.
calling Weege AB, but I mean, you can do that. Do it all day long.
Yeah, I mean, for a guy his size to put put his defender essentially on the ground like that, and then you saw the open field ability that you see in the punt return game. You go back to what we have the guys down there at the East West Shrine game, and I think Joe Clark. Look, Weegan didn't get a lot of opportunity in college as a receiver. Period. Mostly came out of college known for his return ability and all like that. But he, when utilized in that Iowa offense, he made a handful of plays there. Now, you saw some in around stuff and kind of some gadgetry type stuff there. But I mean, for what he did on that single play alone, and to be able to discard his defender out of the break and then bust off, what was it, 60 something yards after the catch on top of it there. You saw the open field ability and the speed with him. So what did he have? Two? What do you have? 2 catches, 79 yards, and touchdown, right?
Yep, that was his stat line. So it's hard to get better than that for your first time inside a stadium. That little sprint left on that touchdown from Allar to Weegan. Hurl, the little things. I want to shout out 2 receivers who did little things to help Weegan out. Max Hurlman on that Weegan touchdown just kind of bumped the corner just enough in man coverage on Weegan to give him a little bit of traffic to run through for the score that really opened up Weegan. And then on the long catch and run, got to give credit to Levi Wentz sprinting downfield, throwing that block in front of number 41. I think that was Mark Perry legally to get in front of him. They really helped Weegan get that final 20 or so yards and almost score.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Herman had a nice game.
Yeah, Herman had a nice game as well too. This guy's he's obviously, gonna be super, super tough, gonna need some help to make the 53, but he certainly does seem destined for the practice squad again.
Along the offensive line, without me going through the all 22 or having much of a rewatch, it's hard for me to really evaluate the group. You might have some more impressions than I do. There certainly was some sloppiness, some sacks early against Mason Rudolph, Tanya with a couple of penalties. We should just mention the biggest negative from this game for Pittsburgh was the penalties, 11 for over 140 yards on all phases, offense, defense, special teams, pre-snap, post, play, everything in between. And even Art Rooney on the broadcast when they were interviewing him on KDKA was getting frustrated by all the flags that were appearing. So that is an obvious red mark that must get cleaned up, and that includes the offensive line.
11 for 134. That can get you killed in games. But yeah, the penalties have you had Fautano, I think you said, been false starting during camp. He had one in that game. Also had the holding call as well too. I didn't think the 2 starting tackles played all that well. Fautano and Dylan Cook there. Interior, there wasn't I thought pass protection was okay from the interior overall. There wasn't a lot of run lanes overall in the running game, so it's going to be interesting to see if this starting offensive line can improve greatly on their performance moving into the second preseason game here. But trying to think that what stuck out to me as far as maybe the good. Broderick Jones played a lot of snaps in this game for a guy still trying to work his way back physicality wise. You didn't see a lot of you didn't see his name a lot on Twitter, throughout the game, and that's a good sign. I have not gone through it with a fine-tooth comb yet, but for him working his way back, I thought he represented himself fairly well. I haven't got a chance to look at, the interior guys closely on the all 22 because that just dropped this morning. So we'll talk more about maybe the offensive line on the Monday morning podcast.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I thought the 1 sack Rudolph took, he probably could have been climbing up into the pocket, and that didn't help out his tackles on that play, but the tackles still have to be better than what they were. And Fautanu talked about that post-game. I know some may look at the Broderick Jones snap count and say, this guy's playing a ton of snaps. Is he in danger? Why is he playing well into the, I think, 4th quarter of this game? And I would not be alarmed by that because they were short on offensive linemen in this game. You had Ihana out. Stephen Jones did not play. They waived injured. Lorenzo Thompson did not sign a lineman back. And so once the starters exited, you were down to, I don't know, 8 or so offensive linemen and didn't really have a lot of options at tackle because a guy like Doug Nestor, who's played tackle, had to kick inside and play guard because they were short at guard. So I know Dylan Cook played extended snaps. That's for evaluation purposes in part, but also just because they were short on the lines at tackle. So I wouldn't use a snap count to draw any inferences. I know there was some critique on Jones on the play where Howard got chased out of bounds on the right side. I think that was a third down play. That one's tough, I think, to put on Jones, as Howard talked about post-game. I think I mentioned at the time, you have that double A gap, a double barrel blitz look from Green Bay. You got to protect inside out. They drop out along the interior. They bring the edge pressure. Jones maybe could have gotten over it a little bit quicker, but they're protecting inside out. So to say he was beat cleanly is not giving real context to the protection on the play. But I got to go through the tape and kind of watch it some more. The fact that he just played all those snaps and was getting good quality work and was conditioned enough to do that is all really good for Broderick Jones.
The quick screen out to the left to Tanyan, Broderick Jones, and who was out there with him?
Forget who was at the downfield. I remember that play.
Yeah.
I forget. Wasn't Frazier, was it?
I don't think it was Frazier. I think he might have been.
I think the backups were in at that point. I'd have to check, but there were some guys out there on the hoof, yeah.
Yeah. You just wish someone could have got Broderick and whoever was out running with him were kind of communicating on who was going to get that guy, and neither one of them ended up getting it. There were some yards left on the field. Tanyan probably not going to score on that, but I think they left another eight or 9 yards out on the field on that one by not getting that guy out in space.
Well, I think Tanyan should have kept it outside. I think they were blocking like he was going to continue towards the sideline. I think Tanyan cut it back in, but I got to watch it back to kind of see what happened there.
But look, we saw a screen where nobody gets flagged for ineligible downfield, so that the timing all synced up really, really good on that play there.
And that's a good concept too. They had that sort of fake motion with the running back going out the opposite way and get all the eyes that way because you're thinking a swing pass in the right flat. They throw back tight end screen left. And so that was a nice play designed by Mike McCarthy. You should just mention the offense as a whole, like very West. I mean, the first snap of the game was I formation, Okowski in the backfield and two back set and under center and just stuff you're going to see a lot of this year. So much the nakeds, the slant flat combinations, the use of the fullback, the boot and the Okowski for the touchdown, just very much some of the old school West Coast roots McCarthy still holds very much in high regard.
All right. Anything left on the offense?
Did Brock Hoffman play any center in this one? Do we know? Do we have? I know we haven't charted the game yet.
I don't know. I haven't made it that far on the all 22 later in the game to see whether or not he did. Let me fast forward here real quick.
I know Crippen got in the game. I know McCullum was second center in. I don't think Hoffman got center work, but I'm just curious on that because just in my head about will this team keep Ryan McCullum as the backup center? Who is the backup? I know Hoffman has extensive snaps at center throughout his Dallas career, but it's been pretty limited so far in camp, and I don't think he worked there last night.
Later in the game, it definitely was Crippen trying to go through. I don't think Hoffman played any center in this, but I don't know for sure.
Now, again, they were short along the interior, especially at guard and tackle. So it may have been just a necessity where Hoffman had to play center because, Crippen is a center only. McCullum's really a center only. There's a little less flexibility there. So that may be an element of it, but something to watch for going forward.
Yeah, I think it went Frazier, McCullum, Crippen.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Defensive line, Dave, what are your thoughts? Y.A. Black, Gabriel Rubio making some plays. Our Joe Clark going to have a film room on him. I'm really excited to get into the film of Gabriel Rubio.
Yeah, look, you saw this team come out. Cam Hayward obviously didn't play in this game. So you saw Benton and Derek Harmon come out as essentially the defensive tackles in the sub-package type situation. Y.A. Black seemed to primarily be the starting nose within this. And then there were different, obviously, configurations moving forward there. One snap stuck out to me was one of the run stuffs there from Black had a good push-pull. Unfortunately, he He didn't make the tackle on that, but Rubio had done a good job of discarding his blocker, and they shut that down easily there. I thought Dean Lowry had some good snaps in this game. I thought Kyler Ball had some good snaps in this game. Oh, trying to think who else maybe stuck out on a defensive line there. I didn't focus a lot on Otomewo. He obviously played a lot in this game.
How about that trigger Anthony Goodlow showing some pass
Yeah,
rush juice?
yeah. He did. What'd you think about that roughing the call on him?
It's my least favorite call in all of football. I assume it was a body weight call. I don't think it was late, but I'd have to watch it back. I don't know exactly what infraction led to the roughing the passer call, but I don't really care. Like, it was a good rush by
Yeah,
Goodlow.
I haven't gone through with fine tooth comb on the all 22 on the defensive line, but I thought generally that group played well.
And Kyler Baugh getting a couple of sacks. Man, he's fired up. I love watching that. Maybe I'm too smitten by Kyler Baugh because obviously him making the 53 is a real long shot still. But I love the energy in which he plays with. He's a little firecracker bull in the China shop, and he got a couple of sacks late, so that was good. But yeah, that play you referenced with Black and Rubio, man, that's textbook run defense. That's Black disrupting, changing the running back's path, and a great two gap by Rubio. Take away the inside gap and then key the back as he bounces it out. Stack shed, make the play. That's some really good stuff there.
Look, their longest run of the game was Pierre Strong, 9 yards. They only gave up as a team 63 rushing net overall. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever there. So I thought up front overall they played well.
And then Black did get the first snap at nose tackle in Pittsburgh's base 3-4. I'll have to chart it out to see what it looked like in totality, but Benton and Black have been mixing and matching. But last night it was Black getting the snap at nose tackle, Benton at right defensive end with Cam Hayward out, Harmon, of course, at left defensive end. So that's how things literally started.
Certainly does trend towards continuing that Y.A. Black's going to be the nose tackle for this team.
Yeah, or to some degree. It may not be 100%, but it's going to be certainly a good degree of it. All right, at outside linebacker, no TJ Watt. You had Highsmith and Herbig start this game. They didn't play a lot of snaps, I don't think. Highsmith showed some good run defense. It was a lot of Jack Sawyer, Jamin Davis. Kudos to Jamin Davis. The stat line looks good. Led the team with 8 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits. Defended the boot game well. Had a tackle in the flat off of it against a receiver, and then had a sack later in the game. He's pretty tight-hipped getting up the arc, but he showed good effort and good closing speed.
Yeah, good effort. Good game by him overall. 8 total tackles in this game? I think he was credited for two sacks in this game. One of those he split with Jack Sawyer, and he split the other one with Kyler Ball, I think, officially on that there. So there was one over there on the far side that he got out there and made a tackle on. So yeah, undersized, not a great pass rusher overall, but played hard, and I thought he turned in a good game, man. You get 8 tackles like that and credited for 2 sacks. I don't care if it's a preseason game or not. That's a good showing there. How many snaps did he play?
Played a ton.
Yeah.
He was like second on the team defensively.
Yeah, we kind of wondered if he might see a lot of burn in this game, and he did.
Yeah, they were thinner at outside linebacker, and obviously with the quick hook on Highsmith and Herbig and Watt not playing, you didn't have a whole lot of options there. Let me get the official snap count. 41 defensive snaps. Only Bruner played more at 42, 9 more for Davis on special teams.
Okay.
Inside linebacker, Dave didn't get to see a ton of Queen and Wilson. They played 12 snaps apiece, just seemed okay, but want to get into the tape a little bit more behind. Holcomb had a good pass breakup, had the bad penalty on the slide on the late hit there, which Holcomb, a veteran, knows he just can't do. Any other impressions, Dave?
I think other than the penalty on Holcomb, I thought he was the best inside linebacker on the field last night. But that penalty, obviously, you can't do that though. But I thought Holcomb had a good breakup there in the secondary on a wide receiver where he dropped into the zone there, and yeah, I thought Holcomb was the best inside linebacker on the team. I thought Wilson. I thought his game for the amount of snaps that he played, nothing really stuck out first run through.
Gotcha. And then Malik Harrison, a
Good
couple
or
of
bad. I
tackles.
mean, he in other words, there wasn't a lot of negative I didn't see from Wilson.
And then Malik Harrison, a couple of tackles late, some good kick coverage, I should say, but obviously a veteran there. You would expect that, and just
They
his
better not
standing.
get him. They better not get him hurt.
He may be one of those guys that does not dress. By the way, you should mention who are the notables who did not dress in this game, both from a health standpoint and also just some guys who just new to the team that didn't get any action.
All right, I'll read down the list for you here of the guys who sat out. Let me pull that up real quick. Brisker did not play. Metcalf, Ramsey on PUP, Aaron Rodgers, Michael Pittman Jr., Rico Dowdle, Joey Porter Jr. on PUP, Deshaun Elliott did not play. Eccles with that ankle did not play. Winstead, one of the new wide receivers, did not play. Jalen Warren, Dante Kent Jr. on PUP. Elandon Roberts, new arrival, did not play. Sebastian Joseph Day did not play, was banged up. Ianachor obviously did not play, banged up. Stephen Jones banged up, did not play. Colin Powell, the new wide receiver, did not play. TJ Watt did not play, and Cam Hayward did not play.
Yeah, I should note that Roberts will be wearing 57. That 50 is going to still be spoken by and kept by Jamin Davis. Maybe Roberts changes after the after cutdowns, assuming he makes the 53. But yeah, a couple of the injured guys like Joseph Day, Ihanachor, Jones, and then some of the new guys as well. So hopefully they'll suit up for the next game against the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's look at cornerback and Asante Samuel Jr. showing what he's shown all training camp. 2 breakups in this game. He's a vet. You expect him to play well, but they were really quality reps from Samuel.
Boy, that early breakup for him was great. Then he ran the other receiver out of bounds on the deep one down the side over there. So he obviously had a strong camp up until this point and was as advertised.
Yeah, no question. What were your thoughts on Dalen Everett in his first NFL action?
I thought it was good overall. Look, he carried that one down the middle of the field there. Look, we got to hit on this when we're talking about defense. For a team that did not tackle, that has not tackled during training camp and all, Josh Carney's going to be able to rip through this missed tackle report over there. There weren't a lot of missed tackles in this game. So I thought as a team, they tackled well. I think there was only something like 40-something yards after the catch allowed on defense in this game. Obviously, the run game, only 40-something yards in the run game. That tells you that the tackling was good in this game. So that's first and foremost. I thought Everett represented himself well overall.
Yeah, that was my feeling. I think he was competitive throughout. He was fit in the run. There was the one run where I think the safety got cracked or whatever the case was, and Everett is one of them with the running back and makes a great tackle in the open space. And some of the downfield plays he was competitive on. Maybe got turned around a little bit on the one deep throw, had trouble finding the ball, but I think the Packers receiver also was having trouble finding where the football was at. So I really do want to dig into his tape some more, but I felt pretty good about it just on first watch.
Let's see. Slaughter had a kind of an up and down game overall. I mean, that silly penalty over there, I think after the whistle got him penalized there, but he's a physical guy. Boykin, another guy that's not afraid to tackle. He's the undrafted free agent out of, I think, Indiana. Him and who was the other one up over the top on that? Jameson had a kind of combined breakup hit on the pass over there to the right side. Oh, let's see. Everett had 4 total tackles. Go ahead.
Yeah, Spears Jennings, the one coming down the alley,
man.
the tackle for loss. I mean, that was great play. I mean, this is a guy that was clearly could not wait to hit somebody back after training camp where those things are off limits, and he certainly can close speed and close space quickly and hit you. Yeah,
saw a lot of just isolated single high in this game as well too. So I thought he had a good game. Let's see. I don't remember Castro. I did see Castro's snaps. Mukwamu had a penalty in there somewhere, didn't he?
No, I don't think he had a penalty. I think somebody said that post game. I don't recall McQuamu getting penalized. He had the sack. He had the splits. Maybe he was penalized. I don't There were so many in this game.
Yeah, I can't remember if he was penalized or not, but he did have the sack, kind of a delayed getting after the quarterback there. So good on him for that. Trying to think what else stuck out in the secondary for me.
Rayshon Jenkins getting the start and
Yeah,
getting
he's a
some
physical
burn.
guy.
Yeah.
He's as advertised.
What do you think? Is there a favorite to make this team out of Jenkins and Mukwamu in terms of the veteran safeties that have been added in camp?
Ask me on Monday when it comes on that. I think I got to see a little bit more of this secondary here overall. Yeah, it's too early for me to look. Spears Jennings, they certainly are trending him to making the 53.
Yeah, my apologies. Mukwamu was penalized
Okay, I thought
on
so.
one of the punts. The Weejan ran back. It was a legal blindside block there that happened in the fourth quarter. So he was part of the 11 penalty show, and many of them on at least maybe 5 or so on special teams, which is just a killer.
Yeah.
Special teams. Let's just pick it up there, Dave. What did you think? Weejan getting the primary looks on kicks and punts. I thought he showed good break tackle ability, even though there weren't a lot of blocking. There wasn't a lot of lanes for him to really hit. He was making the first guy miss, and if you get good blocking and get your return guy to make the first guy miss, you got potential for a big play.
Right. Let's start here. I took a snapshot of the starting punt team. Hold on a minute
That's
here.
you may be the happiest with that sentence you ever made me, Dave. With that, I love that you did that.
Yeah, let's see. The wings were Peyton Wilson and Cole Holcomb. Obviously, you know who the long snapper was. Sawyer at left tackle, Tunyon right guard, Tunyon left guard, Bruner right guard.
Nowakowski at right there.
Yeah, Nowakowski at right tackle, Homer, the personal protector, and your gunners were Skoranek and Everett.
Okay, so that looks like how it could pretty much look in the opener, except Brandon Eccles probably subs in for Everett.
All right, obviously need to clean up the penalties overall when it comes to that. They're trying to think. I haven't gone through it with a fine. I wanted to make sure I got a snapshot of what the punt protection team was to start with, but we'll talk a little bit more about maybe special teams. But it was you got to get penalties out of there.
Mm-hmm. That Weejan might have been a little too horizontal in this game that maybe induced one of those penalties when I think it was a kick return, maybe a punt return where he took it really lateral. And I think Chris Hoke said post game that Crossman, the special teams coordinator, was pretty animated after one return from Weejan. So probably some things to work on. But I just thought him making the first guy miss was really important because that's your job. You make one guy miss, you get good blocks. Then if everything comes together, you got a chance to really have a strong run back. So some ups and some downs, but I thought the ball security was good. He had the one fake out on the punt return that created the touchback where all the Packers coverage team went to him instead of finding the football to bounce behind them. So I thought there was some good there from Weechen on special teams.
What did you think about the penalty on the long snapper there early?
I saw the replay. It's hard to tell with all the mess of bodies there, but I assume it was the right call, and it's on Dean Lowry, a veteran who should know better than that. So that also just that's how the penalty started, and you can't have that to set the tone.
Right, because that obviously extended the drive from there.
Mm-hmm. And Leith Marjan getting 3 extra point attempts, and he was true on all of them. So good for the rookie.
All right. I didn't even look what the punting average was in this game.
It was pretty good, I think, for Johnson. 49 yards, I want to say.
49-yard average, long at 52, one inside the 20. 3 punts, 147 yards.
Only 3 punts in a preseason opener. It means your offense is rolling right along. No turnovers in this game for Pittsburgh, right?
There were none in the game, period, right?
Yeah. So kudos to the offense. Despite that brand of sloppiness with the penalties, no turnovers, no real drops, I don't think either. No botched exchanges, no botched handoffs, no delay of game penalties at least. I know McCarthy said, I think coming out of the huddle, there were some things to work on, and McCarthy referenced kind of some administrative things they have to clean up. I don't know exactly what all that entails, more coaching staff or player or whatever the case is. Maybe there was some headset stuff going on. I think Howard maybe made a pass in a reference to that at some point during the game. Not entirely sure. But It was sloppy in some areas, but it was clean in others.
As Mike McCarthy said after the game, this is a good first game worth of tape to look at.
Yeah, I mean, it always is. I think no matter what the product is, if it's really good or really bad, there's just a lot to learn, a lot to go over, a lot to apply, and you get back in training camp Saturday and go from there. But I think there was plenty of positives to take away from this one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other final thoughts, David? What is your I should ask this to start. What is your 30,000-foot view of this game?
Mike McCarthy had the quarterbacks ready to play, and they played well. That's number one. They ran the offense well. Some Mike McCarthy said after the game. Let's see. Tackling on defense, I think it's a 30,000-foot view. It was good, especially with all the fuss about them not tackling. I think that's a main takeaway in this. The penalties obviously not good. They got to clean that up. The ability for the 2-minute stuff I thought looked great overall. The fact that Allar was able to punch the ball in all the 3 times was obviously good. There, defense for the most part. I mean, you only allow 2-point-something yards per play, so that's impressive overall as a team. So I would say those were my main takeaways. And I like the use of the quarterback rotation. That's another great takeaway. Be light on your feet, be able to adjust there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the 30,000-foot view.
That's a really good point. I didn't even realize that until looking at it now. Yeah, 2.7 yards per play for the Packers offense, 160 total yards of offense. I mean, even though it is preseason, look at Pittsburgh, 385 at total yards, 6 yards per play. I mean, that's a good job by your defense, which means your assignment sound, means you're not blowing coverages, you're not blowing your run gap and your run fit. If you do, because otherwise the offense would capitalize, and so that just means you played a lot of sound football.
169 yards after the catch for the Steelers on 27 receptions. What's the math on that?
Let me pull out my trusty calculator for you, Dave. That is 6.3 yards after the catch per reception.
Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Obviously, a lot of that came on the Weegian catch and run. As I mentioned, just 40 yards after the catch for the Packers on offense on 19 receptions. That's obviously good when it comes to that number. Offensive line could have obviously played better. If you're looking at the offense, that's something to look forward to moving on into the preseason when it comes to that.
My 30,000-foot view, quarterback play, really encouraging, really poised. Too many penalties, and then just a rookie class, top to bottom. The guys that did play, I thought, impressed overall.
All right. Yeah, rookie.
All right.
Yeah, a lot of positive from the rookies.
Like, is there a rookie that played poorly in this game on first watch of the guys who did suit up? I'm trying to think. I can't think of
I
one.
haven't looked at Jennings Dunker yet.
Yeah, I have to look at his tape too. He got a lot of burn though in this game. I think
Yeah.
30 plus snaps, which was good.
All right.
All right, Dave. Anything else? Feel free. If not, we'll get to a couple of reader emails and close out today's show.
All right, I think we got a few of them in here coming off of this first preseason game. Let me pull up the email machine here and make sure we get to as many as we can within here. Paul Brown, our buddy Paul Brown. Hi, Uncle Dave and Alex. What an embarrassment of riches for the Steelers to have 3 future Hall of Fame quarterbacks on the roster. Joking aside, they did exactly what they needed to do to make their case for a roster spot. I'm not going to pretend we didn't see Kenny Pickett look like a preseason MVP a few years ago, and I think we had it all figured out, but the quarterback looked good, and we'll see how they do the rest of the preseason action. If all 3, Mason, Drew, and Will, continue to be productive, I think there's a growing chance the Steelers keep 4 quarterbacks on the roster. What are your thoughts on this? Look, Paul, hard to argue with anything that you said there. I think they did. I think the key thing, they did exactly what they needed to do to make their case for a roster spot. I think you can hang that one in the Louvre right there for the first preseason game. Second, I mean, We'll see. I mean, it was one preseason game. It is preseason, but all three of the quarterbacks I thought represented. I mean, you can definitely still have the argument that four quarterbacks will be kept to some degree. It's plausible coming out of this game.
No question. I know the Kenny Pickett comment is said tongue in cheek and in jest of it all, and preseason should be taken with the measure of context that is appropriate for preseason action against backups and no game planning and pretty base scheme. But, Kenny Pickett, that was the 2023 preseason after he had started 12 games the year before. So preseason at that point is a much easier mode for a guy like Kenny Pickett in that situation. For Will Howard and Drew Allar, their first time inside a stadium, their first NFL or first games for Howard almost, a year and a half, and for Allar almost a year, 10 months or so. For those guys to play that well, given that long layoff, given how new this is all to them, is a clear contrast between what they did versus what Pickett was doing in that preseason.
I would agree with that. All right, Joe DeFazio back in here from Kingwood, Texas. Is it just me, or is this the most difficult year in recent memory with regards to roster math? Trying to fit four quarterbacks and six wide receivers, and maybe now Elandon Roberts and ... You get my point. Difficult decisions ahead. Thank you for all you do. All right, Joe, appreciate you writing in there. Yeah, look, I did. These are great first world problems to have right now when you're talking about, man, how do you keep 58 guys on a 53-man roster, basically. And we talked about this, I don't know, going into training camp. We said, hey, on paper, there's going to be some tough decisions, it feels like, assuming health. Now look, logic and some of these things coming out in the wash for one reason or another will help things out as we get further into the preseason, like injuries or whatnot and all. But yeah, if you want to talk about roster math, I'd rather have a problem figuring out the roster math than I would going all throughout training camp and preseason and having a clear-cut 53.
Yeah, it's better to have too many than not enough, and Pittsburgh certainly sitting in the too many camp right now. As you said, injuries can change a lot, and two more preseason games to go, so we'll see, but it's going to be interesting. I'm really conversation better for Monday, but like who's the third running back right now? They can't keep four with all the other roster math. Four just seems way too heavy. So who's the third guy? Is it Nichols or is it Homer?
I mean, well, let's see if how the personal protector thing holds up here. Right now, Homer's in the driver's seat because of special teams.
Yeah, that would feel accurate right now.
All right, buddy, Deshaun Campbell in here. Sup, guys? Man, I like what I seen from Asante Samuel Jr. Just wondering, do you guys feel with how well Samuels has looked and how much newness JPJ has missed on the field that if this contract situation isn't figured out within the next week or so, that JPJ's availability versus Atlanta is already in jeopardy? And finally, which one of those cornerbacks would you like to see take charge of that cornerback number 2 spot? Look, I even if Joey Porter Jr. doesn't sign, until right before the start of the regular season, he's going to be out there. I don't question his availability. Now, obviously, would you like to see him sign sooner rather than later and get in there to the practices and get a few reps during the preseason? Yes. I think Jamel Dean, obviously, right now is probably going to be the guy to play opposite him. But what a great problem to have with Asante Samuel Jr. There was even the one snap there. Asante went inside when the tight end was outside. Robert Spears Jr. I think Robert Spears Jennings lined up on the outside against the tight end. Asante Samuel Jr. was in the slot, I think, on that. I think that was him on the slot.
That was the fade.
Yeah, on the slot fade, and he obviously covered that well. What a great problem to have a guy like Asante Samuel Jr. be the next guy off the bench as far as cornerback goes, and then you have up and coming Dalen Everett. So I think we're looking, Deshaun. I basically come ask me this question, right prior to week 1. If JPJ, hasn't played any snaps. But even so, you still have to think he's going to get this deal done at some point, and he's going to be on the field against the Falcons.
Yeah, that's still my thought. Deal or no deal, he'll be out there for the opener. It is a good problem to have. We talked about how deep this cornerback room looked going into training camp, and it appears to be just as deep, if not deeper. And Jalen Ramsey's going to come back to you at some point too and play slot corner work, and so that adds to that room all the more. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they got to find a way to give Samuel snaps in sub-package football in obvious pass situations. His play's just been too good for him to be just a bench guy waiting for someone to get hurt.
He's had a hell of a summer. He's healthy for sure. More comfortable in the system, and after finally getting some time after being injured last year. All right, Jeff Bird back in here. Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. Here we go. I'm not sure if I was dreaming, but I swear I saw what resembled a passing offense that utilized slants in the middle of the field. It was so refreshing, and I see exactly what Alex has described. Allar has a live arm. I'm from Medina, and it makes me proud to see a fellow B showing out. Hope springs eternal. Hey, for what it was against, and for what they were asked to do, once again, I think we covered it. Yeah, it was great to see some slants. Once again, I thought Allar on that pressure looked on that slant flat to get that ball out as quick. That was probably his most impressive throw of the game. A decision.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a lot of great decisions and good throws in this game overall. Thank you. I'm going to hold off on the going to the Super Bowl just yet, though. Nathan Casey writes in on Broderick Jones' path. David Knox, watching Broderick, a high first-round pick, playing so late in the first game of the preseason kind of says where his standing sits with the Steelers. I'm rooting that he can be healthy and live up to his athletic potential, and if he does, what is his path? Realistically, probably a trade would be the best for both him and the Steelers, as it clears his salary and allows him to possibly earn a decent contract with his next team. If he was guard flexible, I could see right guard as an option, but that doesn't seem viable. Thoughts on this? Look, Nathan, I think Alex laid out a good case because of numbers of offensive linemen of why you saw Broderick play the amount of snaps. So let's, at least for one preseason game, let's pump the brakes on the whole showcasing narrative when it comes to him. And look, I mean, Broderick, at least from quick rundowns, Broderick was the better tackle in this game. I thought overall, but he's a first round draft pick. You don't want to trade away from good depth. And it's not like he's all that expensive either. So unless somebody blew your doors off, and assuming you stayed healthy on the offensive line for the rest of the preseason, I don't think you do anything there with Broderick Jones. I think you want to see him obviously continue to get to develop, be able to be maybe your swing guy, and obviously continue to get recovered from last year's injury along the way there. But the fact that he played the amount of snaps that he played in this preseason opener, I thought just on first blush, I thought the quality was okay there as well too. I don't know. He has an easy path to the 53. I think overall. What are your thoughts on this, Alex?
I think it's fair to talk about the idea of a trade because he could command something of relative value as a young offensive tackle with experience. That's a pretty hot commodity if it's floated on the trade market. And you look at teams like Washington, other places that have had tackle injuries that might, Carolina could be potential landing spots. It depends on what Jones's role is. If he's going to be the swing tackle and first guy off the bench at, left tackle, right tackle, then you want to hold on to him. If he's deeper down the depth chart, then maybe you consider the trade there. But point taken, you also want to think about your own offensive line depth, and injuries can change things in a hurry. And Honachor's already missing time, and you kind of feel that. McCarthy talked about all the injuries he had in Dallas, and so he's probably less enthused about giving away a tackle than a guy with experience. So we'll see. It's probably boils down to your point. Unless you get a really good offer for Broderick Jones, you'd likely hold on to him. The question is, what is a really good offer for Broderick Jones? What would it take to decide to trade him away?
I don't think, at least from what we've seen so far, and let me quantify that, one preseason game, I'm not flipping him for anything lower than a third.
I think This is not me with a concrete statement, but if it's a 4th-round pick, that's still, I think, a pretty good deal for Broderick Jones on an expiring contract.
Yeah, I'm not sure I go.
Because you're not getting a 3rd for Broderick
Yeah.
Jones. Like,
Okay.
if that's a stance and you just think we're not trading him, that's fine. But no one's giving up a 3rd for Broderick Jones. I think a 4th is where that conversation might start to open up.
Right. And who are your options right now to be the first guy off the bench to swing? It's him or Dylan Cook, right?
Right. I mean, because you would assume Honachor. Well, I mean, okay, if Fartanu and Cook hypothetically start at tackle, and then if Fartanu gets hurt, Cook would probably flip over to left tackle, and Honachor would come in at right tackle. Or, of course, if Honachor starts, and Cook's going to be your true swing guy.
Right. And there's still runway, assuming Honachor gets in these final 2 preseason games and picks up where he left off before he was injured. It's still plausible that he could be the starting right tackle.
Sure. By the way, the Steelers Pro Shop just tweeted they sold out of Drew Allar jerseys last night, but they're back in stock now. So it was, a standing ovation, I think, for Howard when he came in. I think our Tyler Weiss noted that, and probably similar for Allar when he took the field.
All right, let's plow through a couple more before we get out of here, Alex. Rob Jones, the new Moo chant, not a replacement, but an addition. Hello, gentlemen. Prediction: by the end of the season, a fan favorite chant will be Ouija. One to the house, and no one will ever give a crap that it is a 4th-round pick. I think that's Alex. Are you moonlighting as a Rob Jones in here?
I will not confirm nor deny.
Excited to get fantastic coverage by Dave and Alex. Go Steelers. Look, Rob, yeah. I don't know if we'll hear a Ouija chant here by the end of the season, but point taken there. Let's see if we can get another one in here from Chris Warner, buddy. Thank you so much for all the great coverage this offseason. I am thrilled to have Elandon Roberts back. Remind me, why in the world did we let this Vince Williams-like goon go? A better, more deep defensive line should allow us to get Peyton Wilson on the field more, but we still need that old school thumper. Our top 2 wide receivers didn't play tonight, yet it is already evident that our receiving core is significantly better than last year. React to me. Old Jim Rome saying there. He ends this email with, look, Elandon Roberts for what assume the price is for the style of football that he plays. Yeah, you got to be happy that he's back. Why in the hell did they let him go? Good question. As far as receivers play last night, significantly. Look, you still obviously want to see Pittman and Metcalf out there. Those are your top 2 guys. I think you could legitimately, you want to see Roman Wilson get more targets, be able to get off press moving forward into the preseason. But for what we saw last night after one preseason game, yeah, I mean, receiving core right now looks to be in fairly good shape right now.
I think I saw a compilation of NFL receiver rankings that had Pittsburgh, I think, 17th from the dozen plus outlets that rated every wide receiver room in the NFL. Does that sound fair, foul, too high, too low, just right? 17th for Pittsburgh?
Yeah, they got a lot to prove as a unit right now. Middle of the league. I mean, look, you got two accomplished guys in Metcalf and Pittman Jr. But as we talked about, can Pittman Jr. Stretch the field? There's still question marks about the entire unit overall. So to rank them in the middle of the league right now, I think is fair.
I obviously don't have my own NFL wide ranking. Maybe I'll do that one day in that slow period post cut downs before the season begins. I think honestly, maybe this is one of my hotter takes that some may disagree with. I think 17 feels too generous for Pittsburgh. The receiver room is better than last year. They were a basement level unit last year, but I would still probably call it a below average receiver unit, especially Pittman's quiet start is not helping that matter, and still some questions with young guys like Rowan Olsen and Jeremy Bernard. Now, you add in the tight ends and you add in the scheme, that can obviously elevate the group overall, but I think just comparing the wide receivers to the rest of the NFL in a receiver-rich world, I would say Pittsburgh is still below average compared to the rest of the NFL.
So 20th, 18th, I mean, just off the cuff, or
I don't know exactly.
Bottom third?
Bottom third, probably in that 22 to 24 range is where I would guess I would rank him if I was mapping out the entire NFL. It's better than last year, but the goal is not just to be better than last year, where it was legitimately one of the worst NFL receiver collections. So it's DK and not much else. This year it's improved, but I don't think it's still all that great.
All right, let's see. Jerry, got a first-time emailer in here, Jerry Moscone. We always like these first-timers. Jerry from Murraysville. Been listening to
that's near my town.
All right. I've been listening to the show for 2 years, but this is my first time emailing in. I'm emailing right after Elandon Roberts news broke, and I couldn't be more happy. I 100% agree with Dave that Malik Harrison doesn't have a spot on this team, especially after that signing. My question is, how do you see Graham using a thumper like this? Did you guys watch any of his tape or look into his stats when he was with Graham as a Raider? Thanks, guys. I appreciate all your hard work. Special thanks to Alex for all the work he does, keeping us updated during camp season. He says, had one more thing to add with the Roberts signing. Do you see this team keeping 5 inside linebackers? He says, I don't see them cutting Holcomb or Bruner. As we said earlier in the show, Jerry, yeah, I think right now you're trending to 5 inside linebackers, with those guys being Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, Elandon Roberts, Cole Holcomb, and Carson Bruner. So that's a yes to that. How do you see Graham using a thumper like this in Elandon Roberts? Yeah, that's going to be, as we talked about earlier in the show, that's going to be interesting to see play out in obvious run type situations. You know, are we going to see Elandon out there with Patrick Queen potentially? Because once again, a Roberts is not going to give you anything he's going to dress, and he's not going to give you anything on special teams. And Mike McCarthy doesn't like people just standing on the sideline in a helmet if they're not going to play. So I think you got to, as Alex said, you got to find a way to get him on the field. What do you want Elandon Roberts playing 800, 900 snaps? Probably not. But there is a role for a guy that can play downhill and thump like he does.
Yeah, I think it's still to be determined. I don't know if you have to get him on the field. I feel more strongly about guys like Asante Samuel Jr. getting them and finding ways for them. But like I said, if the run defense falters, then Roberts is a quick fix of getting a guy in there that is a known commodity against the run. I didn't watch him in detail with the Raiders last year. I know what Roberts can do, and so it's not like you have to go watch a lot of tape to figure out what his skill set is. He can play a bit on teams. He didn't last year because he was starting, but he played 100 or so snaps each year in his 2 seasons with Pittsburgh. He can give you, some punt coverage work, and he's a hitter, so there could still be some potential value there. So I'm not quite sure where it fits, but even if he's not playing or barely playing as a 5th string linebacker on a probably minimum level contract, I mean, it's not like you're paying the guy, I'm sure, a lot of money to compel you to go out there and get snaps. So we'll see, but it's good depth. It's cheaper depth than Malik Harrison and a better run defender, so that all works out.
Yeah, stay tuned. We'll be watching along with everybody else to see how he's utilized here. Do you try to get him burned in the second preseason game?
Yeah, I think he'll play against the Jets. Absolutely.
All right, we got through quite a few emails there. I think we're about an hour and a half into this first preseason game wrap up. Once Alex figures out his download issues, he's going to hop on the All 22. We ought to have a lot more to talk about on the Monday show. Is the public going to be allowed for a Saturday practice, Alex?
I am not sure. On the team website, Steelers.com, it says it's open, but there's some conflicting information that it might not be. So I'm reaching out to the team to figure that out. I sure hope it's open. If it is, of course, we'll be there. If not, then we'll be out there for the Sunday practice.
All right, so Sunday, and obviously if you're not allowed at the Saturday practice, there will be no special edition Terrible Podcast on Saturday evening. So stay tuned as far as the availability of the next podcast prior to Monday. There'll hopefully will be one, barring weather or whatnot and all. But all right, Alex, we'll wrap it up then. Great show. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and want to donate, SteelersDepot.com. Hit the donate button. Also, if you like an ad-free version of the site, SteelersDepot.com. Hit the ad-free button and follow the directions that way. So until the next time we get together, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.